Okay, this assignment involves working through these series of tabs on this file called National Debt. The first one, we use this calculator here to find out each student's number of days they've been alive on the planet. And here's a sample data from here. To use this calculator, you come here and you put your birthday in here. Okay, so say you were born in 2009. You would put that in and then hit calculate. And then that's the number we're interested in. And we collected that from every student, and we made a spreadsheet as a class of, in this case, 23 students. And we're trying to display the use of 5 common functions: sum, average, count, max, and min. And here's how you use those. Typically, when you have a list of numbers, you want to add them up at the bottom. I know in this case it doesn't make a lot of sense, but you can still do it. If you type an equals sign here, it will actually try to figure out, oh, you're trying to add up all these numbers and put the answer here. It says A1 to A24. It really should say A2 to A24, but since A1 is a not a number, it shouldn't affect our results. But anyway, this function is sum, and then the argument is the range of cells you want to add up. And we're just going to accept this formula by hitting enter. Hopefully. Do that. Sum, enter. It really should be sum A2 to A24, and that adds that up. Sorry that took so long, but anyway, it's right here, sum A2 colon A24. And one of the things you need to know how to do is to view formulas, and under view show, there's a formula check here. It's right now it's unchecked, that's why you do not see the formula. The keyboard equivalent is the control key plus the reverse apostrophe key, which is right above the tab key. Anyway, if I go to formulas, it'll show me the formula. But more importantly, if I use control reverse apostrophe, I can kind of go back and forth from formula view to regular view. And I'm just going to label this over here as this is the sum. This character right here is shift comma. And let me blow this up a little bit more so we can see it. And dealing with the other functions here, say you wanted to know what the average of all these numbers were. That's equals average, A2 to A24. Just accept that. If you have too many decimal places, you can reduce those. And this is the average. The next one I'd like to do is to count how many entries there are. It's pretty easy to see that it's 23, but there's a function that helps you do that. And then I also want to know what the minimum number is. What's the lowest number in my data set? And then also I want to know what the maximum is. And then I also want to know what's the difference between the highest and lowest numbers. Okay. Count is equals count. And the range again is A2 colon A24. Okay, we only want to go to here. And then right paren. And so the average is this. That's not right. Oh, that's the count, sorry. That's 23 people entered their birthday number, or the number of days they've been alive. Minimum equals MIN. Same range. It's the lowest number we have. The maximum number, and then to find the difference, I can reference these cells. Again, formulas begin with equals. And you say, hey, take that maximum number, this is cell A29 in this case, and subtract from it the minimum number. And that will give you the difference. So in one classroom, there's one student almost 2 years old, or not quite, but more than a year and a half older than somebody else in the room. Kind of interesting. And so that's what you did on this one. Again, I can come back and put a little label there. And just work through the next 8 slides or sheets very quickly. This came from another teacher. What we want to show you here is how to change the width and height of the width of columns and the height of rows. To change the width, come up here between B and C and pull on that, and you can see that makes the cell that much bigger. Okay, and you can sometimes pull it too far and it doesn't fit the words, but what you can do is come right here and double click and it'll get exactly the right width based on the data that's in that cell or those cells. If I highlight the rows 10 through 14 and come in between, what I do to one, it'll do to all of these. I can make them all bigger. I can also, of course, make them too small. And then again, you can also double click to get them the right size. That's all we wanted to show you here. The next one's cell names. If you happen to see formulas, turn those off. But I like this. This is a simple activity for elementary students. What's the name of this colored cell? Well, it's B12. If you type that in and hit enter, it will give you feedback that if you're right or not. Here is E13. Say I said E14 by mistake, it would tell me to try again. E13. Okay. There's more here. Try them out, and you see if you get the correct feedback. The next one here is that equals starts all formulas. Right now this is just a mathematical expression, but if you come to this cell and double click and click in front of the 3 and put in an equal sign, now when you hit enter, it will do the result of that expression. So in this case, that would be 12. Here, same thing. I put an equal sign up here. I don't know why the font went really small, but it did. 2 times 11 is 22. Okay. Here's an opportunity to test out your own formulas, but this is pretty straightforward. 6 times 8 is 48. 9 minus 12 is a negative 3. Oops. 5 to the power of 2 is 25, and so on. Next is cell references. Here we're using cell references, so B4, which is 6, C4, which is 2, and D4, which is 9, we're adding them up all together. That would be 17, and again you verify that by throwing an equal sign in the beginning and hitting enter. This would be negative 1. This would be negative 15. And I wasn't sure what this one was, so I cheated, went right here, put the equal sign in, and found out it was 5.5. The next one is merge. And quite often you just merge a couple of cells, but right now they want you to merge all of this. Let me zoom out a bit. And so you start at B5 and highlight to D17. The merge and center buttons right here. There's a drop down, but just click right here. Now you have a single cell. Type your name in it. Hit enter, and you see it's in the bottom left. To put it in the center, that's these two guys right here. I could center it and then put it in the middle like that. If I wanted it on the top left, I'd do something like this, and so on. You get the idea. Next is borders. The author here is showing you she likes a border this way. This is kind of a T border. There's a bottom on the header, and then on the right hand side of the first column there's a border on the right. So to do that, you highlight these two cells. Borders is right here. Click on it. You want a border on the bottom of the selected cells. If you click off of it, you've got that. Now if I highlight from here to here, and go back and say right border, I get something like this, which is what she was looking for. I know a lot of, you can actually turn off grid lines and you see it like this. But I know a lot of people that just highlight the entire data and choose to put borders on everything. So just say all borders, something like that. Okay, so I'm going to turn the grid lines back on. Wrap is where you may have a cell that doesn't, this one is wrapped. I think in yours it won't be. It's actually text that goes on here. This should be overflow. Let me see if I can fix this. Wrapping, that should be overflow. There we go. So yours looks like this. And that's actually a merge cell A5 to E5, but still it's not enough room to show everything. What you can do is use the text wrapping tool. Click here and choose the center one, and now that merges that cell, okay? Or wraps the text in that cell, it doesn't merge. Here's a way to show you how that kind of works. Let me say I type the alphabet in this one cell. And when I hit enter, it looks like it's spilling into this cell, H15, but there's really nothing in there. If you look at the formula bar, there's nothing there. And there's nothing in I15 either, even though these do appear there. It's all really living here in this one cell, G15, and I can wrap that. Okay, so that's what that's about. All right, here's the assignment that you need to turn in. This is the national debt from George Washington to Joe Biden. 1790, our debt, our national debt was $71 million. And if you scroll down, it has every year up until last, right here, where it checked in at almost $31 million, or $31 trillion, excuse me. If you go to the debt clock, you can see what it is right now. Okay, this is the United States debt clock. We're at $31.5 trillion right now. Okay, so I don't want you to chart the entire history of the United States. In fact, I only want from 1981 on. So if you scroll down, 1981 happens to be living on line 194. And I want to remove everything above it to line 2. Here's how you can do that. Click on 193. That's for 1980. We don't want that. You notice here in 1981, the debt is just under $1 trillion. So I want to remove 1980 all the way to 1790. The first inclination you think would be to go, oh, okay, I'll just highlight this all the way up to 2. But you don't have to do it that way. Just highlight the first cell, or excuse me, the last cell that you want to get rid of, and then scroll up, and then hold down the Shift key and click on 2, the row header for 2. That highlights from 2 to 193, and if you go under Edit, Delete, it will recognize that you're perhaps wanting to delete these. Choose that. Now you scroll up, you have 42 years, 1981 to 2022, and that's what I want charted. So highlight A and B and go to Insert Chart. It'll default to a line chart. We want a bar chart in this instance. So to get there, come down here. And you want to move it to its own sheet. That way you'll see all the years that are here and the debt. Now, it would be nice if it was reversed. That the most recent was at the top and 1981 was in the bottom. To do that, and that's easy enough to do, is just go back to your data and just resort it. So while it's highlighted, go to Data, Sort Range, Advanced Range Sorting Options, and you put a header row, and when we're sorting by fiscal year, Z to A in descending order, so the larger numbers first. If you do that, now 2022 is at the top, and if you go back to your chart, you can see that it's now like this. Okay, rename the chart. Okay. I had one really bright student color each one of these bars based on whether it's a Republican or Democrat in office. We're not going to do that, but that was cool. Go ahead and copy the chart. And then in Google Classroom, in this assignment, there's also a blank spreadsheet, or excuse me, blank slideshow. Now I have one that's already done, so I'll move that over here, but here's how you would do it. You'd bring in the chart, Command V, and superimpose the presidential administrations on this, okay? And the way you go about doing that is you take a rectangle here and draw it out. Double click inside of it so I can type Reagan. Make it big, bold, white, right justified. And then the fill needs to be semi-transparent. So to do that, you go to custom, go to solid and click on the plus sign by custom and pick the color that you want. Red for Republican, Reagan was a Republican, and move the opacity to about 50%. And you have something like this where you can see the data underneath the label. So Mr. Reagan started in 81, and his last year that he was responsible for was 88. He was an 8-year president, 2 terms. And now that you make one, you want to leverage it and copy-paste your way through this. So let's do Obama next. He was 2009 to 2016. And so change that name to his. And then you need to change the color to blue for Democrat. And this is something you did last fall for deficit spending, and over far more administrations than I'm asking you to do now. But all you've got to do is you could look at that resource and just recreate the research you did last year by just looking at that previous assignment and getting the years from there, or you can just watch this video, pause it when I have it all completed. Trump was a one-term president so far, and so we'll do that one next. Then I'll probably stop this video because I think you got an idea of what we're doing now. So he took 4 years. He went to 2020. And the last 2 are Biden. You'll have to make that smaller. I'll just change this to Trump. And that's what we're looking for here. Here's a finished version of all the administrations. Okay. And you're welcome to pause this and get that information there. There's a URL where we got this data from the treasury.gov. And that's the assignment. This is what I'll primarily look at. So if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks a lot.